Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Jade Harrell, and I'm joined by Amber Clear, Amy Rivera, and in this episode, we are joined by guest contributor Jami Ballentine Dolby, connection broker. Welcome, Jami, and we're so happy to have you with us as we talk about the issues in our community.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So glad to have you with us. So we'll start with you. We always like to talk about what we're loving right now. So, Jami, what are you loving right now?
I am loving the fall season, and I'm loving because I get to figure out who is for and against candy corn. I love candy corn, and so it really puts me in a place of who I can really be genuine friends with and who I just kind of need to put in a separate bucket. So I'm loving candy corn.
Much respect, much respect. In fact, do you have a candy corn stash, designated stash?
I do. And I'm the only one in my household who loves candy corn. And so those people are also put in a bucket. So
Your glasses look like candy corn to me. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, that looks like candy corn.
Makes perfect sense.
Candy corn inspired.
For sure. And we get along great in that area. Amy, what are you loving right now?
You know, I am loving that I'm finally finishing a 2-year-long project, and my book cover was officially approved. And so my book will be coming out called Drop the Skirt, How My Disability Became My Superpower. So I'm really excited for that. I feel accomplished in 2020 finally.
Right, for sure. But you know what? All those seeds you sowed in the months prior are now coming to harvest. So wait, be. We're loving that too. Amber,
I'll celebrate that with candy corn.
I'm thinking of all kinds of ideas. They make cakes with candy corn and stuff on them. This is where that season begins, you know. Once Halloween starts, the sugar season, all the way through to the beginning of the year and our resolutions. So it's on now. Amber, what are you loving right now?
I am loving future friends. So I was blessed to be able to recently take a whole bunch of strangers out into the forest and have them follow me to a giant cliff. So I'm terrified of snakes and heights. So I invited a whole bunch of future friends and a few people that I did know to go to Snake Road in Southern Illinois, which is a road that closes twice a year for the amphibian and reptile migration. And they migrate from the swamp area to the bluffs, and literally you will see just tons and tons of amphibians and reptiles. So it's called Snake Road, but there's like turtles and salamanders and other really, really cool creatures on there.
And you know what I have to say, Jade? I saw the pictures that Amber posted, and it looked beautiful. It was absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah. You know what? I would love for us to go ahead and use that as an opportunity as a girls' trip.
Yes, let's do it.
Before we spend our time planning a trip on this.
I get so distracted.
It sounds like I'm telling you, you got me sold. But I actually do need you because you brought this to our attention. Recently, a story has come up our way where individuals' actions outside of work has caused them trouble at work. In one story, a manager at a local car dealership was called out in social media by a restaurant customer. She says the manager made racial slurs and berated her for being Black in his white America. The reason we know his job is because he was wearing a work shirt with the dealer logo on it. So smart. The dealership responded, condemning the actions and saying they're going to take appropriate action. But there's no question that this is wrong. And so we don't need to debate that issue, but it got us thinking about how our activities away from work can impact our employment and businesses. So ladies, let's talk. Amber, let's start with you.
So for me, this one hits home. This is very personal for me because I work at a car dealership. I work at a different car dealership. And to me, all salespeople, especially car salespeople, get a bad rap unnecessarily because people go in with a mindset of this is a terrible, greasy, grimy car salesperson and they're going to do whatever they can to take all my money. And for me, it's so personal because that is the farthest thing from the truth. At my dealership, in the last month and a half, we raised over $50,000 for United Way. We raised over $2,000 for Gateway to Hope, which is a local organization that supports breast cancer, male and female breast cancer patients, not with their medical bills, but with the other bills that just keep coming. And then before that, a food bank said, hey, we need food. And I filled up 3 giant vans full of food that employees had brought in. So for me, this hurts my heart that somebody is representing a business that already has a bad generalization. And so the fact that he did this and it furthers the stereotype of car salespeople, it breaks my heart. And I just want to punch him in the face.
Wow.
Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. And it probably won't.
Really drives home the residual impact, the ripple effect of our actions. Jami, as our guest, chime in and talk about where you stand on this.
Well, I think and to Amber's point, it affects not just that person, it affects their employer, and it affects the entire industry. And
the entire industry, yeah. So it doesn't just affect his business. It affects the reputation of every person that does anything similar to what he does.
Which is why people who make those choices in public representing a company have to be held accountable and have to be made an example out of. You made the choice to wear your employer's shirt out in public, and this is what happens. We can no longer give passes to people because they're off the clock or they weren't at work. Those days are over. And when somebody like this is made an example of, what happens is that employer makes changes and then that industry makes changes, because it's not enough for that person to get pulled into the office and get a little D&I training and take an online course and now they're good. You have to change that entire dealership, and that dealership now tells their friends who own other dealerships and the entire industry. That's the only way these instances are going to change. Mm. I hate that anybody's going to be affected, but I also believe that we are more aware, and when you see someone doing something like that, I don't look at it as the entire industry, but I'm not in that industry. But I know that people have been affected by this and can be looked at it bad. But you know what? At the end of the day, the other industries and dealerships can step up to the plate and showcase this is what they're not about. Because one of the things they said was diversity is important to them, and this is not what they stand for. And the first thing people did on social media was pulled their staff, pulled their management, and their words really did not match what their staff looked like. It did not match their actions, and it did not match the actions of that employer. So they're being held accountable, and now it's time to make some change.
Yeah. Here's another example of the intersection of the impact of business in community as well. There's this affects industry, but it affects how industry engages in this relationship with community and its consumers. And people are expecting companies to walk the talk. And that includes when you pull back the veil and you look at what they're made of, what they stand for. Amber just laid out, hey, we are about what we say we are. We filled up vans, we fed the homeless, we backed up what we said we were doing. So
it's about creating a workplace culture. I think no matter where you work, no matter what industry you're in, the place you work has a workplace culture. And you can either create a culture of community involvement, or you can create a culture that furthers stereotypes of whatever industry you're in. You could even relate this back to police officers and say that one bad police officer doesn't necessarily make a whole bad force, because one person doesn't always represent a whole business. Or a whole industry. It's just that's what the media or social media latches onto. So,
well, they're not necessarily latching on to one, but multiple means something needs to be addressed. Absolutely. I get that one, but by the time we're many, this is where Jami's talking too. Some things need to be addressed, dealt with, and straightened out. Amy, when you look at this, you can, and I'm sure you can put it through many lenses of your own personal experience, but when you take a look at it, what are some of the first things that come to mind for you?
My question to this individual is, What makes him so special that this is his country and only his country?
Because what I do off the clock is my business. I'm my own man when I'm not at work. And you can't tell me what to do in this here free mind.
Right, until it happens to him. And then it's the role is reversed. You know, when I see this, I'm going to take it to a different perspective here. I agree with what everybody is saying. But as someone who shares the same race as him, you are making me look bad. And I don't appreciate that, because there's no reason for you to discriminate against anyone, no matter what race, religion, sexual orientation. Everyone's equal. And at the end of the day, I just want to know what mirror this gentleman's looking in, because I don't see that mirror anywhere.
You're discriminating against me for the thoughts that I'm having on my own time.
Right.
Well, and be who I want. I'm not hurting nobody.
Right. But if you're not hurting anybody, then why would you even feel the need to say it? Because you're hurting yourself. Even when those thoughts come to your head and come out your mouth, you're hurting yourself. That self-talk already is putting you down here. So even if you are an intelligent man and he might feel that he's intelligent or make good money, you discredit everything about you the moment you open your mouth and spew venom.
Which, side note, that's what they're trying to do to this young woman now, is they're trying to discredit her.
Our key thing is the issue we have with being off the job, and it's my business, or whether my company has anything to say about what I do when I'm not working.
I think that your company has 100% right to discipline you or to question you about things you do off the clock, because at the end of the day, you're representing their company. So if you are publicly doing things, especially if you're wearing a company shirt, I think that even though you're not at work, you're representing work.
We're going to curb this part of our conversation as far as specifically about that that article or that event, and add one little piece before we move on to our next topic, because we, girls get to talking. But the one piece that I want to be sure we don't miss is whether I'm in uniform or not, whether I'm working for someone or not, how I am showing up out here and taking liberties for and against someone else is something that we must be mindful of and address, and maybe also help people remember, because at the end of the day, we're still looking at how someone thinks that they can just disrespect as well as infiltrate their beliefs and thoughts on another person. And we are now at a point where it's been captured and it's been shared, and it's all too common.
So I think that we have to realize, as business owners, the better a community does, the better our businesses do. So it's in our best interest to further our community.
Yeah. Well, we all know we're stronger together in so many ways, including that fine point from Amber, from work to home life, and support from family and friends. When we come back, we must talk about collaboration. Stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Queen is just my everything.
His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
And we're we're back. I'm Jade Harrell here with Amber Clear, Amy Rivera, and today we are happy to welcome Jami Ballentine Dolby to the show. Jami, you are a natural connector, so much so you created a business out of it. What is Cbabi Society?
So Cbabi Society is a collaboration workspace and connection brokerage place. I have been connecting people for as long as I can remember. And outside of connecting people, my other passion is St. Louis, as you can see. And so I just want people to have good experiences in St. Louis. And a lot of times when people say they don't love the city, despite obviously some, maybe crime statistics or things that are outside of our direct control, a lot of times people leave because they weren't connected properly. They did not have a good experience because they did not have a good village. And so I have created Cbabi. Cbabi simply means work in Swahili. And the way you say community and society in Swahili, it's Jami. And so it's really what I'm all about. And I'm passionate because we should all know each other. If you have something going on and I know someone that needs your services, it should be with ease that we should be able to connect. And not just connect and partner, but really collaborate with each other.
We should, absolutely. And collaboration can be great, but it can also go sideways too.
It can.
So what has been your experience? What are some of your successes? Where has it fallen apart?
I think I've had great success in it because I always find the good in any situation, especially when it has to do with St. Louis. And I think that I'm one of those people, I try anything about 3 to 4 times, right? So, I'm for giving things extra tries.
So 3 strikes is not out for you?
No, not necessarily, because you might have just had a bad game. You might have had a bad season, and I'm willing to give you another try. I may not put all the trust right back in you, but I'm willing to give anybody a shot, and I feel like we all deserve it. We just need to know how to properly deal with people and what buckets to put them in.
I think you're speaking a lot to what we've been missing and where collaboration falls apart. Amy, Amber, have you guys had some great collaboration experience? Would you be an endorser of it as well? I was so surprised about how many people were not as enthused about St. Louis. Now, I know I wasn't initially, but I had heard these reports, bad press. And it's been nothing but great collaboration since I've been here. What about for you, Amy?
I've had both. I've had bad and good. And it's just like with any other thing you do, you're going to experience both. Just because I've had a couple of bad experiences with collaboration doesn't mean that I end my friendship or other business endeavors with people. But the one thing I did learn about collaboration about myself is it's been able to make me become more efficient and to hone in on my communication skill set. So I like collaborating as an individual and as a company and as a partner.
Well, any times that it's fallen apart that you've got a lesson you'd share, like a takeaway, I love to collaborate. Be sure when you do, what would you give us?
Be sure you do that. You understand what each party brings to the table up front, and be very honest with what your shortcomings are and what your areas of expertise are, because then you're able to help each other build from that. And when you do see something fall apart, you know where it's coming from, and you're able to redirect. So then you can better than, I guess, have a higher retention rate when you do collaborate again, is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, Amber, you're another natural connector. I think you're like a connecting lightning rod. People like
resourceful.
You just had you had a truckload of complete strangers who may have been
future friends.
All of you into the woods.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a cliff.
So
collaboration must be something very vital to you, I'm thinking.
I absolutely love collaborating with people. Even the people that are bad to collaborate with teach me to appreciate the good collaborators even more. But I will say this, I have become more and more selective about who I collaborate with, both personally and business-wise, because I don't want to accept a reputation by default. Meaning, if I collaborate with someone who has a negative connotation, that I, by default, then by working with them, now I'm lumped in with them. And I want to make sure that I give people a fair shake, but I also want to make sure that I don't muddy my own image by collaborating with someone who is less than stellar.
Mm-hmm. There needs to be careful collaboration.
Collaboration, you have to just set boundaries and be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like what Amy said, just because someone says this is their specialty, that may not be the best way for you to connect and collaborate with them. Even if someone is 90%, negative or bad, if you can take that 10% and hone in on that strength and don't worry about maybe their weaknesses so much, find that 1% thing that you can get out of them or focus on and really help elevate them. And it's a good time when you think about collaboration, pull somebody to the side and say, you know what? This is the experience. This is the feedback that I'm getting when I say your name or suggest that people collaborate with you. And so that whether they can fix it or just simply be aware so they know, what their word is on the street.
Where can we find out more and get connected?
So you can visit us on social media or on the web at kazisociety.com, and that's KAZI society.com. So we're everywhere you want to be and should be.
Thank you for being with us today, Jami. And we are certainly missing our Tina Love bug, but we are certainly enjoying your conversation and for you spending time and contributing today, Jami. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you everybody for watching Let's Talk. You can catch new episodes every Tuesday. Comment and let us know what you are talking about so you can join the conversation. And make sure you follow us on STL TV on social media. Ladies, have fun. I'll see you next week.
Tune in to the next episode of Let's Talk. Okay. Okay.
It's called exuberance.
Need that picture too.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it.
I have so many paper cuts. You guys don't even know. Like, oh.
Probably, let's see.
My armpits are still sweaty, y'all.
Yeah, but you're doing great.